All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today we're jumping into one of the most incredible explosions of thought in all of history. And it all starts not with some grand answer, but with a deep, profound silence from the Buddha himself. A silence that would go on to spark a 2,000-year debate about the very nature of reality. So here's the central mystery that kicks this whole thing off. You see, when his followers would come to him with these huge questions, is the universe eternal, or what happens to the self after death, he would often just stay silent. So you have to ask, why? Why would one of the world's greatest thinkers just refuse to answer? Well, it's because he saw those kinds of questions as a dangerous distraction. He called them avyakret prashna, the undeclared or unanswerable questions. For him, getting lost in a debate about the cosmos was like being shot by a poisoned arrow and then refusing medical help until you knew the archer's name, what village he was from, what the bow was made of. None of that matters when your life is on the line. His focus was super practical. Just end suffering. That's it. But that intensely practical focus, as wise as it was, ended up leaving this huge philosophical vacuum. And, as they say, nature abhors a vacuum. And that's really the key here. While the Buddha himself could set these big questions aside, his followers just couldn't. To build a complete and coherent worldview and to defend their beliefs against other philosophies, they had to find some answers. And that urgent need is what set the stage for a massive split in thinking. Right, and this is where it starts to get really, really interesting. This quest for answers didn't lead to some single unified doctrine. Oh no, it led to this rich, complex, and sometimes messy branching of all these different schools of thought. And this didn't just happen overnight. It was a clear progression. So first, you had the Buddha's original practical teachings. Then, after he was gone, those big metaphysical questions started bubbling up. This whole intellectual ferment was a major factor in the great split between the Hinayana and Mahayana traditions. And out of that split, 4 major philosophical schools emerged, each with its own totally unique answer to that fundamental question: what is real? So let's meet our 4 main contenders in this grand philosophical debate. Each of these schools took the Buddha's foundational ideas and just built an entire system of reality around them. It's fascinating. First up, we've got the Sarvastivadana school. Their name literally means the doctrine that everything exists. Now, think about that for a second. They argued that the fundamental building blocks of reality, they called them dharmas, are real across all 3 times. So in their view, your earliest childhood memory and a decision you might make 20 years from now are, in a very real sense, existing right now alongside you. Wild, right? So next, the Sautrantika school comes along and pushes back. They argued, no, only the present moment is truly real. But here's their big twist. They believed we never actually perceive the world directly. We only ever know our own mental impression of it. It's kind of like this. You walk outside and see the ground is wet, so you infer that it rained. You never actually saw the rain itself, just the evidence it left behind. They said our minds do that with everything. Okay, get ready for a radical leap. The Yogacara school, also known as Vijnanavada, took that Sutrantika idea and just ran with it, one giant step further. They basically asked, look, if we only ever know our own mental impressions, how can we be so sure there's an external world causing them in the first place? Their conclusion? There isn't. And this was their absolutely mind-bending idea. Reality is consciousness. The entire universe you experience, every sight, every sound, every feeling, is a projection of the mind. It's really no different than a super vivid dream. The only thing that's truly real is the consciousness that's creating that dream. And finally, we have the Madhyamika school, founded by the absolute legend of a philosopher, Nagarjuna. They offered what might be the most profound answer of all. They argue that everything, both the external world and our internal consciousness, is empty, or shunyata. Now, this does not mean that nothing exists. Not at all. It means that nothing exists on its own, independently. Instead, everything is radically interconnected, all arising together in this vast cosmic web of cause and effect. So there you have it, 4 powerful, totally competing visions of what reality is. Let's put them side by side so we can really see just how differently they answered the Buddha's great unanswered questions. When you line them up like this, you can see this incredible philosophical journey unfold. You start with the realists, the Sarvastiva, saying everything exists. Then, with the Sautrantika, reality shrinks down to just this present moment. Then, bam! The external world vanishes completely with Yogacara, leaving only the mind. And finally, the Madhyamika come along and dissolve even that distinction, revealing a reality of pure interconnection. What a spectrum. So, why does a 2,000-year-old debate between a bunch of ancient Indian schools of thought still matter to us today? Well, because the questions they were asking are absolutely timeless. Exactly. I mean, these thinkers were grappling with the relationship between mind and matter, the observer and the observed. These aren't just ancient debates. You can hear their echoes in modern science. When quantum physics asks if a particle's state even exists before we measure it, or when neuroscience tries to figure out how the brain literally constructs our reality, they are asking Madhyamika and Yogacara questions. Ultimately, this whole debate forces every single one of us to ask a really fundamental question about our own lives. Is the world that you experience truly out there, or is it a construction that's happening in here? This whole explainer really shows the incredible, incredible power of a single, deliberate silence to ignite centuries of profound intellectual exploration. And that really leaves us with one final thought to ponder. If the Yogacara school was even partly right, and our reality is shaped or maybe even created by our own consciousness, what does that imply about our power? Our power to change our world simply by changing our minds? It's something to think about. Thanks for watching The Explainer.